The Diary of a Certified Psychopath. Off the crank. So, still no respite for the mildly winded, my deflated subconscious pondered, in rhetorical resignation, whilst I softly pedalled down Harbour Way, into the steadily thickening coastal chill that has pervaded almost every British spring night since Earth's lunar muse first ignited quicksilver peaks across the swollen oceans of its celestial commander, and which I am destined to never grow acclimatized in any form of casual clothing that cannot also be utilized as regulatory roof insulation. No wailing foghorns to howl of, nor vampiric sea frets, but in their unsettled place a cacophony of blood-curdling war cries from those furry feral rogues, prowling the mainland and maritime neighbourhoods of Shoreham's topographically divided inhabitants, staking their hostile claim to every inch of neutral territory, not least that occupied by orphaned office furniture. Barely 2 lead-legged kilometres had elapsed before I passed the remains of a now gutted desk, slumped on the grassy verge beside Herbie Hancock Close. Only last week had I thought that this abandoned relic might make a stylish and functional replacement for the repurposed overbed table that my parental business partner is presently employing as a computer workstation. However, since my initial sighting, it has lost a major piece of its veneered physique on every occasion I have rolled within an iPhone SE's optical zoom range. First, the bottom right-hand drawer vanished, before I'd even had the chance to evaluate which brand of superglue or industrial-strength 2-part adhesive would most securely reattach a large fragment of its front fascia. Then, the entire right-hand panel was evidently hijacked by a local scrap chipboard dealer, leaving only its opposing elevation and a naturally distressed worktop that manifested more damage from the corrosive conditions than that inflicted by its former owner's pounding fists in those hot-headed moments after humiliating deathmatch defeats on Call of Duty Black Ops. Towards the end of this localized loiter's central suburban phase, I almost rage-quitted another unintentional micro-tour of Garden Close, having meant to swing north 2 turns earlier for my traditional grind around Greenway's Crescent. Sorry, but there's still no such beverage as botanically brewed motivation offered by any licensed curbside vendor throughout Sussex. Rustled a restless privet hedge, stationed halfway between Queen's and Raven's Place, having evidently gleaned this disturbing news from the feverish whispers of a nearby gorse bush. No matter, my mind's mouth replied. Just forgive me for keeping a low and narrow profile whilst I harvest my humble cabbage patch of remotely mass-cultivated provisions to restock a depleted pantry in time for this weekend's familial home invasion. Following a few hundred strategic footfalls around aisles 2 and 4 of Shoreham's principal dealer in fair trade fruit salads, grass-fed phyllo pastry, slimly sliced sourdough bloomers, and other creatively commercialized commodities crafted to be even more irresistible than the exact same raw products at Lidl and Aldi, 9 or fewer compulsory items were discreetly snatched and bagged, whereafter I hauled my vintage Thai steed's Schwalbe-shod rims back across the silty riverbed, burdened with one final task: to return a pair of Swish Perspex safety spectacles belonging to our diligent gardener, whose 3 previous sets had been run over by his sit-on lawnmower. Due to an absence of natural light and scant incandescent reserves from the roadside's radiant torchbearers, this simple errand was abandoned when I arrived at my pitch-dark destination to discover that no dwelling in the street bore a visible number, whilst my fail-safe backup method of matching numerically allocated wheelie bins to their respective houses also drew blanks. Wandering up to each property's front door to inspect for any defining digits would have been ill-advised, since each of these bijou bungalows boasted a lengthy garden path that I suspected was patrolled by a combination of hyper-paranoid motion sensor lights and multi-camera home security systems, both of which would have alerted the owners of my presence, thereby giving rise to repetitive and embarrassing conversations such as, "Excuse me, are you lost?" "No, just looking for 32. "There's no 32. "Are you sure you've got the right road? There's another King Sisyphus the 15th Avenue in West Worthing, you know." "Yes, I know. It's definitely this one. Are you sure there's no 32, since there's one in every other street I've ever visited which has more than 31 numbered residences?" "No need for sarcasm, I'm just trying to help." "Yep, I understand, but I've never trusted the word of any fox, ever since one ate that poor gingerbread man who just wanted a safe journey across the river." "I see. Interesting. And yet you clearly believe in fairy tales." Note that the names of locations in this curious hypothetical have been altered to preserve what's left of humanity's dwindling privacy. Eventually identified one evenly numbered property and shuffled sheepishly along the pavement, flashing my trusty cat-eye vault and counting upwards until I arrived at what should have been the correct house. However, its surrounding ranks of deciduous sentinels were dense enough to be mistaken for the New Forest, and formed a forbidding cloister over the driveway that wholly obscured the trailer truck I'd been instructed to deposit the glasses in. Returned the next day by brighter aid of our stellar luminary, and completed my short-sighted assignment without attracting any undue attention from neighbouring curtain twitchers, overprotective car alarms, and magpies on the lookout for any fetching eyewear that they could pilfer and trade with fashion-conscious crows.